Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no flight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder.
Well, good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. With the night, of course, the company with the most is Techie Joe. How are you, darling?
Doing well, doing well. How about you this evening?
All halfway evil, totally mad, and a little frustrated.
Yeah, I think I'm a little frustrated too because we've been working on issues with formerly known as Sudden Fuck, and It looks like we are not having the best quality this evening. So
We are.
I am actually running a test on that real quick,
Yep.
so we can get an idea what's going on. But yeah, no. Hey, Shannon. No, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's show more info. There we go. All right, sorry, I'm having to click around a little bit, guys, because I'm trying. Oh, good God. This is going to be a fun show.
Yeah, we will stay on as long as we can, but this is past ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here comes Optimum.
Woo!
All right, so why don't you go into the Iran security while I deal with their asses?
Alrighty. Wait, no, we did Iran security.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, we did that one. I can go into researchers. Yeah, okay. All right, I'll do that one. I'll let you yell at a few people. But yeah, scientists appear to have cured someone of HIV. This comes from Mike.com, MIC. For the first time ever, a patient's virus went into remission because of a treatment using umbilical cord blood. Amidst the COVID-19 panic, it's easy to forget that there are other viruses that put people's lives at risk. But the reality is that while the loss of life we're currently facing is terrifying sad, the decades-long HIV epidemic has taken more lives still, and it disproportionately impacts queer folks and people of color. Over 36 million people have died from HIV, and there is no cure to date, although a vaccine is in the works. But in a groundbreaking new case, researchers appear to have cured yet another woman of HIV. This new research... Yes.
I know. This is the second time they've done this.
Yes, this new research was presented yesterday at the conference on retroviruses and opportunistic infections. Oh, this was way earlier this year. This was February. Mm-hmm. I am so sorry. I picked up an old article. Oh, well. But still very cool, and I don't think we've covered it. So, yeah. So this was presented yesterday at the conference on retroviruses and opportunistic infections in Denver. The mixed-race middle-aged woman, who has not been named in order to protect her privacy, also had leukemia, according to the New York Times. As part of her treatment for cancer and HIV, she received umbilical cord blood from a donor. The cord blood treatment was used instead of a bone marrow transplant because blood marrow transplants require a very close match and cord blood treatments require only a partial match, New York Times reported. This detail is crucial because most bone marrow donors are Caucasian, which means that most of the people who benefit from bone marrow transplants are also Caucasian. That leaves a giant swath of the population unable to receive life-saving marrow treatments. To be clear, the reason why most marrow donors are white is complex and tainted with the stench of medical racism, but Let's see. Oh, yeah. Black persons of color also have more difficulty finding close matches with donations because their genetic makeup tends to be more diverse than people of European descent. All of this to say that this cord blood treatment could create inroads to HIV treatment and hi, guys. We are hopefully still broadcasting.
We are still broadcasting and still at crappy levels.
Hey, we're at crappy levels, but at least we're still here. So we don't know what just happened. It looks like our internet may have gone down entirely momentarily. We've been working on this all week. Hey, Shannon, awesome. Thank you so much for sticking here. This one's going to get edited in post.
Oh, this one isn't even going to be able to go out because at this point. Well, the last two broadcasts that have been crap, we haven't been able to do shit with because the only thing we can do is produce the audio if the audio is worth using. These are the problems you have when a company switches over. So I'm going to try something while we've restored air.
Oh, okay.
And we will see if it works.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. So everything is loading, so we will have to wait for that. Anyhow. So, where were we? Oh, we were at this. They finally done it twice now. This is the second time they've done this.
And it's a massive, like, so real quickly, like the part I wanted to get to, all of this is to say that this cord blood treatment could create inroads to HIV treatment and cure for more diverse people. The fact that she's mixed race and that she's a woman, that is really important scientifically and really important in terms of the community impact. Stephen Deeks, an AIDS expert at the University of California, told the New York Times there are only 2 other confirmed cases of people being cured of HIV, and both of them were men who received bone marrow transplants. So the big difference is they were cured. They were, presumably white men who were cured of HIV by bone marrow transplants. This is showing that cord blood could have the same impact,
Right.
and it's a more viable solution than what we would see in bone marrow transplant.
Right.
So, yes, there we go. Oh, working hard for the money tonight, aren't we?
We are. I'm having to do multiple things at one time.
Isn't that our life?
Well, it is, but at the same time, it's like, can we just not? Like, do we not have to go through this shit?
Yeah, that'd be great. Like, I don't know. We try, guys.
We're trying. We are sorry. Jenny Thompson, the wife of the judge, says, "Oh, he didn't know what I was doing."
Who? What?
Yeah, Clarence Thomas's wife says, "Oh, he didn't know what I was doing." Calling, every place that Biden won, trying to get them to go find votes in the basement for, the orange peduncle longnose sunkle.
I mean, it is DC, and there are a lot of power couples that really are just couples in name only.
Mm-hmm.
As in, and I don't mean to say anything negative on their marriage there. I just mean in terms of the way people generally think of relationships and couples can be very, very different. When you're talking about people who have their own careers, their own lives, they are needing to, be able to move around the country a lot. It can become a thing of like, yes, they're married, yes, they're in a relationship, yes, to all those things, but they may not live in the same household or live there all the time. They may be on extended travel often. So I always think it's kind of important to point that out with DC power couples, especially. Like, marriage gets a little wonky.
Really? So, if I suddenly became Republican, you think you wouldn't know it?
Oh, well, I would hope I would notice. I would think the bad haircut would tip me off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure the bad haircut would tip me off.
Right.
What? It was a lovely line from Stepford Wives.
Well, I know it's a lovely line from Stepford Wives, but at the same time, I'm like, there's no way this man did not know what she was doing, and he should immediately not stepped away. He should have immediately stepped away.
I do, one would have hoped. I just don't even know what to do with that, really, because it's a flimsy excuse, but it may just work.
Right.
My husband didn't know. Because then it becomes a matter of proving how did he know?
Well,
How did
that's
he know?
when you subpoena their text messaging.
Again, though, if it's a situation they never talked about by any like evidentiary standard, then it becomes their and I don't know, that brings up a question that I've never thought to ask before.
Mm-hmm.
So conversations between a spouse are considered privileged. Does that apply to text messaging a spouse?
I don't think so. I've seen them used. They're using a lot of stuff against EJ.
Okay. Sorry, it never occurred to me till that moment. And I was like, wonder.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I guess it can't be. Because it is supposed to be the communications that you have in no other form.
Right.
Like
Conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just popped in my head to wonder that.
Right.
I don't guess so. But yeah, well, it seems like we've stabilized a little.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, I didn't say it was great. Like, again, thank you guys for hanging in there. We're going to really hope that this is not a nightmare. So from Shannon, marital communications privilege, confidential marital communications in both civil and criminal cases. Communications made between spouses during the marriage are privileged if the communication is intended to be private and made in reliance on the sanctity of marriage.
Right.
So I think she's arguing that it could be privileged.
Right.
If there was like the understanding and intent. And that's where I'm kind of at mentally when I thought of it, is like, ooh, but you're texting your spouse, like, I don't know. Yeah, if you're telling your spouse in confidence.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's kind of where my brain went.
Right.
Well, the connection's not great, but it did better this time. I'll give it credit. It's not as low as it was earlier. But yeah, no, that's where my mind was on that one, is like, could it be?
Yeah.
I don't think it could be.
I hope it straightens itself out. I do have tech support on the side, so guys, I'm sorry if I seem distracted.
That's okay. So Shannon also says there was a big hoopla about it when I was in school because text messaging was just starting to get popular.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's part of the question of, like, is the law keeping up with technology?
And it's not. I mean, we saw that from the Facebook testimony. They didn't even know what the fuck Facebook is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and our law class was addressing the argument before it was decided it would be considered privileged in those parameters. So did they have a reasonable, like, was it reasonable that they were doing this under the sanctity of marriage?
Well, and here's the debate. He's a Supreme Court justice. What classifies sanctity of marriage in a Supreme Court justice of communication? Because we know FLOTUS versus POTUS is not considered confidential if it's put in writing.
Well, but then again, I think you have to reconsider the nature of the communication.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, for instance, if, like, Justice Thomas is communicating about something he shouldn't communicate about,
right,
to start with,
right,
then I wonder how quickly that devolves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was supposed to have been protected by his job, as in it's part of, like, you know, the secrets he must keep as a justice,
right,
because I'm sure those are long, varied, and endless. I would think that, you know, you start to devolve the thing.
Right.
Is like, if you're already talking about a thing that you shouldn't have been talking about in the first place.
Right.
And then the conversation goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, but then comes the question of, was what she was discussing a criminal act?
Right.
Oh, that could get messy real quick. Like, as in, sorry, guys, I just had my own moment. My monitor decided to flicker. And I was like, what? The whole, like, oh, God. Anywho, I'm good now. But no, my question would come back to, like, how messy this could all be, trying to prove that it's privileged or not. I would think it would be a pretty hot debate to watch.
I think it will be a very hot debate to watch. I think it'll be very interesting to see if charges are filed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want to see charges. I want to see some of these people that were trying to coup the United States file charges. File fucking charges. Like, Justice Department, get your ass on this.
Yeah, well, but then again, you also have January 6th and the fact that a lot of this has been deemed a conspiracy.
Yes.
And if I remember right, I think conspiracy usually trumps spousal privilege.
Yes.
Because, like, then it becomes a question of, what were you talking about as a married couple versus what were you talking about as co-conspirators in a crime?
Right.
And so if both are aware that they're engaging in a criminal act,
right,
and I think there's some limit there, if I remember right. Like my legal environment of business is so damn old at this point. Like, we were covering business more than anything else, and basically my takeaway was, if you're gonna do a criminal thing, don't tell anyone.
Right.
Like, just don't do it.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you're gonna do the criminal act, just shut up. Just shut up.
Right.
Like, there's no such thing, spouse or otherwise. Because even if they can't use it in court, it could be one of those moments where, like, one turns on the other and starts,
right,
trying to scapegoat and get out of it. Wouldn't that suck?
Well, I think we are looking at the world history here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I just switched over to 5G connection. Let's see how if that improves anything.
Okay. Well, of course, I'm not going to be able to see a difference, so.
Well, you can go ahead and switch to 5G.
Okay. Let me start working on that one and continue with your point.
Right. So we will see how this does. This is insane. This will eat, like, guys, you just don't know the technical difficulties we have had this week, and we are very sorry for our viewers that you are seeing this. We're trying our best.
Like, yeah. This was not, like, literally this fell into the category of things we were never, ever going to do.
Right. But please be aware, if we do lose stream, we will come back. And the stream may be a little bit longer because of these issues. Because there are some things we want to talk about with the Dahmer situation. It's just like, ugh.
Alrighty. All right, I am connected. Let's see what that did for us. This is going to be sad if my connection is better.
Right.
Which it already looks like it is.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Two can keep a secret, but one of them, is dead.
Must be
Signs in the sing. Yes, exactly. And see, I don't believe that they have been able to modulate or to keep care of that. I also feel like with this in general, we, need to demand justice from our lawmakers. And if we do not have lawmakers that are doing anything, then we need to reconsider their availability to actually have situations and to actually be justices. I think this should cause a redefinition of the court.
Understandably.
Okay. And I think that it's going to cause a more major incidental situation when we look at, um, you know, adding to the court. I think that there should no longer be lifetime appointments because originally justices would die in office at like 60. Now they're living into their 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been a big part of this as well.
Right.
Is like the original ideas
Right.
didn't involve all this.
Right.
So yeah. Like we were not planning for quite
Right.
that kind of longevity.
Right.
But yeah, oh good God, I've got a better upload speed on.
Yeah.
You did actually disable your Ethernet adapter, right?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you have to, otherwise it keeps sticking with the other one.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, so talk about a behind the scenes episode, right?
Well, not only behind the scenes, but some of the things that we go through as streamers, some of the things we go through in general.
Mm-hmm. There is that.
And we try to keep streaming going. We're doing really good. We haven't missed any shows that were scheduled.
I know we've been late a little, but things happen.
That happens. We've been working through this and adapting things, and it's like, oh, come on.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I wanted to dance back since it was kind of interrupted, and I don't think we really gave it the work that it needed or the conversation it needed. If we remember, the government stopped research into stem cell usage.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we have to question what's going to happen with those. Why is this such a problem? We're finding that stem cells fix MS, fix AIDS, fix crises, possible use in cancer.
Basically, it goes back to the 90s argument that, doctors were playing God and they were going and I don't know that we killed all stem cell research. We just got very restrictive on it. And trying to be very, very careful with what we did approve. At least in terms of what that might become.
Right.
Because we did not want to get into a situation in which we were effectively creating children just to harvest body parts.
Right.
In a sense. That was what we were trying to avoid. That really pissed off people in the Roe v. Wade argument. Because if you were only creating an embryo for a short duration and then effectively disposing of it, most people reacted negatively.
Right.
That became there's a difference between all of the different versions of pregnancy that one could have,
right.
And the need for abortion versus XYZ Genetics Corp,
right.
mass growing, fetuses and impregnating embryos.
If we can grow ears,
Mm-hmm.
if we can grow human ears, human hearts on the back of rats, why can we not grow these cells in a petri dish?
Well, no, fundamentally that is how this came through, was being very careful that we were harvesting the cells and multiplying cells for that purpose. That's where the stem cell thing got a little wonky.
Right.
There's allowable uses and there's other but it all comes down to like, how are you getting the cells? Where are they coming from? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And the situations that's acceptable to do in versus situations in which you have basically created a fetus farm.
Right.
And yeah, no. We're not doing that.
Right.
But it does ask but there were a lot of scientific questions asked. I think it was Dolly when everyone got really alarmed.
Right.
Oh. Hey there. I'm not sure who's lurking while working on stuff, but it is very cool YouTube.
Yes.
Sorry, we got Facebook user on our side. Hey, Natalie.
Yes. Hi, Natalie. Hello. Just a word. We are having technical difficulties. We are streaming 5G. And believe me, I will be looking into other options because we've got to now have a tech come back out.
Yeah.
To look at this.
Yeah. Shannon always lurks, is a multitasker.
Yes. We enjoy you guys listening to us and commenting as it pops out to you guys.
Oh, it's the Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, there we go. Yeah, you're just coming up as Facebook user tonight. You probably hit one of the other pages links.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome to StreamYard. Every single page you can follow us on. Every time you click into the comments, it's like StreamYard has to be reinitiated to the idea that you have a human name besides Facebook user.
Exactly. Or just tag Emily the first time and we can go from there.
Oh, yeah. There you go. We can always work with that. So don't worry about it now. You can hit it later. Oh, yeah. Yeah. She got the notification with your Raven Knight.
Ah.
Yeah.
So anyhow.
Oh, no. Shannon's youngest tested positive for the plague today. Oh, so Shannon was nice and turned the heat on.
Yeah, we had to pull the heaters out from the attic and set that up. And now we're going to have to, I'm going to have to go through and post-it note the house.
Okay, why are we post-it noting the house?
Because I'm tired of answering the question, do I have to turn the heater off for this? Do I have to turn the coffee pot off for this?
Yes. I just assume we have to shut down everything in the house every time we touch a microwave.
Yeah, and you don't.
Yeah, Shannon was going to wait till it dropped below 40. I think you were going to get there a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Than you might have imagined.
Yeah, looking at this week, we are quickly dropping into the cold temperatures. Winter has arrived. I was on a way to October 15th before I have to deploy the heating system. Unfortunately, we're 2 weeks early.
Yes. Meanwhile, Emily's boss last week before she retired, my boss's last week before she retired was this week, but she couldn't be at work because she tested positive for the plague.
Right.
I think you need to message and ask, did she say the horrible words of, "May God kill me now, I'm retiring"?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think she might have just gotten a "don't test me."
Right. Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and take a break. I know, guys, and then when we come back, we will be going into the Dahmer debate.
Ooh.
Because I want to really talk Dahmer on this side.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Dottie the Psychic, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing any makeup. Well, one reason is to irritate my social media manager, Aeson Knight. Hi, Aeson. The other reason is because I like to get to the naked truth about what it means to be a neurodivergent LGBT person with psychic abilities. I've got vlogs, blogs, and podcasts and videos all related to trying to live my best life and helping witches and bitches do the same thing. So, You can check all that out and get a reading from Dottie the Psychic at dottieThepsychic.com. Safe travel and much profit to you.
Do you have a cute pet? We know you do. Each week, Tracy Van chooses from submitted photos a featured reader for her Facebook page and provides a tarot reading. Your adorable pet cat, dog, rabbit, goat, chicken, snake, or more could be her next featured reader. Visit tracyvan.com, TracyBann.com, and click Featured Reader to submit. We look forward to seeing your pet next.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and I am here to tell you how to get in contact with me and a little bit about what I do. I am the High Priestess that works with shadow work to help you grow and heal. And I work with access bars, Reiki, I do power forms. I'm recently getting into crystal healing, sound therapy as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing, that is LadyGwendolynHealing.com. Book your appointment with me. I do in person, I do over the phone, I do over Zoom. We can do that as well. My main goal is to help you grow and heal, because I've been there, I'm still going through it, and I let my strength help guide you. See you soon.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you would come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
All right. So welcome back. Oh, this is going to be the first winter that they haven't had to deal with heat. It ain't set at 80. We don't set it at 80 either, but I woke up this morning freezing, and I'm like, okay, I have to be able to move. Yes. Okay, so guys, we are under technical difficulties. Matter of fact, we just put a banner underneath so that people understand we're doing technical difficulties. We have a scheduled appointment tomorrow. You may end up getting, hopefully by next week, we will have better services because we are 5G, and this is not something we ever expected to do. So this will be a full experiment. Thanks for being along for the ride. We are sorry if the video quality is not what we try to standardly put through.
I'm creating a banner. There we go.
All right. Yes, they are sucking greatly at the moment. Thank God for AT&T backup. So let's talk about this Dahmer series and the bullshit that is going on, and I have seen it throughout the country. Well, first we need to talk about why Dahmer is such a thing. Okay, why did he get to be an 18 kill, at least 18? They know he killed 18 people, 18 BIPOC, 18 people, 18 humans. I don't care the diversity of them. And here's why. He got to 18 because it was the 80s. They didn't care.
Well, there's a lot going on there. It was the 80s. We were just like, gays were just starting to enter this weird limbo between sympathetic victims of a plague and, like, oh God, not our children. Like, we were straddling that line socially. Meanwhile, HIV and AIDS itself was just kind of, again, in a limbo where it was the gay disease because it started out as GRID. Before it became, like, I think it was Ryan White was the poster child of you do not have to be a gay adult to get this.
Right.
Because he became the hemophiliac poster child.
Right.
I'm trying to remember. I think that's who that was. Thinking back, trying to keep up with my gay history. But yes, Ryan White. And so, like, I don't know, it was a weird, like, the 80s were a really weird time to be gay, to be clubbing, to be trying to live, especially in, like, Milwaukee.
Yes. And trying to, in general, survive.
And survive, yeah.
Okay.
Well, but then you also have the 80s, and that was, like, serial killers, like...
Well, it was. Serial Killer Central, they started actually catching them. I still think there's a few, there's at least, what is it? Give me a minute, I need to Google.
Yeah, like, well, and then you probably have the late 70s there, too.
Right.
So, yeah.
So currently we may have on the list today is looking at between 25 and 50 active serial killers currently in the United States.
Yeah, 1978 was his first murder. That was of Stephen Hicks. So I'm just going to live on Wikipedia tonight.
Right.
I think that's probably our best life choice there.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, so you're coming off the 70s, which was kind of a turbulent decade.
Right.
And a weird time into the 80s, which was even weirder. For gay men, it was kind of wild for people in general, the 80s were, but...
Right.
But yeah, and then you go into, I believe, the 90s. Yeah. So
yeah. It was a lot there. It's a lot going on. But what we've seen out of the responses is insane to me. First, we have the gay men posting the TikTok about removing their Grindr app. And I'm like...
Again, I go back to, did y'all not know what you were... Like, did you not understand?
Did you not understand what the word grinder meant? It had nothing to do with gyration.
Yeah, no.
And then we have these white women, and I'm sorry, they're white, blonde women posting about how they're so in love with him. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You are not in love with him. You are in love with the actor playing him in a series that is fictional, that has been really there.
Well, and that's always a question I end up having. I don't know if everyone else is there, but, like, do you think this is a role, though, you can take on and then have a career after? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just have to wonder sometimes with actors choosing a role.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know that I would want my acting credits as a fledgling, I'm assuming fledgling actor.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine they pulled big Hollywood talent for this.
Right.
I can't.
Right.
So let's see. I want to go look real quick, see who... Oh, created by Ryan Murphy. Doesn't that all make sense?
Right.
Oh, starring even... Oh, well, okay, fair enough. I did not realize that was an Evan Peters role. I really wasn't thinking about that when I said that. So, but anyway, I like, huh. Okay, fair enough. That's one actor that can probably pull off coming out of, this unscathed career-wise.
Right.
Like, he's done so much with oh god, I can't get my Ryans out today. With Ryan Murphy,
Right.
that I don't think he's gonna have any problem.
Right.
Like,
But
his career's
here's the thing with this and this dude in general. This I really think is glorifying. I really am upset they didn't cherish someone that was a little bit more interesting of a character. I'm really upset with the family that has been put through this as the nightmare continues, and they've continued to gloss over facts, including the survivors, and portraying them as it not being as bad and as torturous as it was.
Yeah, that's interesting. But then again, this is Ryan Murphy. This is sort of what he does.
Right.
Because, if you look at Feud,
Mm-hmm.
there was considered a lot of leeway taken.
Right.
On trying to report that, and what he mostly not report that, but encapsulate that into a television series. Like, he did a lot of he took a lot of license.
Right.
Up to the point I believe he got sued, wasn't it?
Yes.
By Olivia de Havilland, because she's like, I don't know what the hell that was.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like, that's the problem with doing shows about dead people, is you got to make sure all the people are dead.
Right.
He forgot about Olivia de Havilland, which is just horrific.
Right.
No one should ever forget about Olivia de Havilland.
Right. I mean, and the role she played in it, but he takes the licenses. He's already portraying, he's not even reached out to the family. The Flowers family is very upset. In general, as he is one of the, luckily the grandmother came home and interfered, and insisted that, Flowers get medical attention, likely his saving grace. They've moved the neighborhood around, as in who was his neighbor and who wasn't his neighbor. And it's like, can we just not?
Well, there's that.
They don't play Roots yearly anymore.
No.
They can't, they don't, there were other serial killers they could have made this out better of. This is one, but it's been one to really show the lack of gay history being taught.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of them behaving very badly.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. It's on the heels of the whole Eileen Wuornos thing. I don't know, it seems like we're going through this, which I know the Eileen Wuornos thing is kind of old, but it's become repopularized.
Well, it's not old. It's still terrifying.
It's still
what she was allowed to get away with is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
How she was sold out and made profit of is ridiculous.
Yeah, but I don't think being crude, I don't think a lot of straight people are watching that going, poor Eileen. They're going, what a fucking lesbo monster.
Right.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. Is I don't think that a fair number of people that are, not gay,
right,
not in the alphabet family, are gonna watch Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, and sit there and think, wow, they really got a lot of factual inaccuracies there.
Right.
They're gonna watch it and be like, gay people are scary.
Yeah.
See, this is,
this is what happens. This is what, and it's just like horror to begin with.
Yeah.
And, if they're going to present something, then they need to present it for full academically. Clearly, they should present the psychologist that tried to say that Dahmer just had a mental disease. This was his defense, a mental disease because of his gayness that caused him to be cannibalism.
Well, but then again, you turn around and we're like, you think it sounds crazy now, but you go back. This is during the time of gay panic defense. This is
Right.
going back into, we've removed homosexuality as from the DSM as a clinical diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
but we still have conversion therapy, running rampant.
Right. Yeah, but this is, we
it's
hear
an
all
awkward
about these
time.
conservatives being so tortured, but yet they produce this shit.
Yeah. Well, but at the same time, I again have to go back to it's Ryan Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a finer point that really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Right.
But he works fiction.
Mm-hmm.
He does amazing fiction. Good
Right.
God, we're up to 11 years of American Horror Story.
And that's my problem. He's done great on fiction. He should stick to fiction, not present something as a reality.
Well, but then you have to kind of wonder how much of it is fiction.
Right.
I mean, because if you look at AHS Roanoke,
mm-hmm.
Some of that is looking at, or I believe it's Roanoke that looks at the Jamestown colony, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of that is pulled from factual history?
Right.
Versus how much of that is, okay, he took some license with it.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of, because again, Jamestown colony, no one knows what happened, just blah, blah,
Right.
blah, ... It is the greatest, drama dots ever.
Right.
But no, I mean, it's a lot of what he does. It's what he did with Feud. It's what he's done with a lot of his work. And it's sometimes what makes it great.
Right.
I don't know in this situation, it was, but then again, he's almost always controversial because, dear God, AHS Hotel.
Right.
There are people that still haven't seen the first episode of that.
Right.
I will guarantee there are people that still haven't seen the first episode of that, and that has nothing to do with their local cable company blocking it.
Right.
That is, oh God, no one wants to see that.
Right.
It's art.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Right. All right, so let's go visit an old devil, shall we?
Oh, goody. So appeals court rules against Kentucky official who denied same-sex marriage licenses. Oh, God, not her.
Yes, he's back in the news because the Sixth Circuit Appeals Court handed down a ruling Thursday that, yes, she can be sued personally.
Hooray! And it also, it also affirmed that former Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis violated the constitutional rights of the couples to get married.
Right.
3-panel judge of the U.S. Sixth Appeals Court handed down the ruling Thursday. And this could end up at the U.S. Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
However, Lexington attorney Michael J. Gartland, who represents a couple suing Davis, said he believed U.S. District Judge David L. Bunning will soon schedule a trial in the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she just has to keep losing.
Right. Yeah, she continues to lose. She continues to battle this. She continues to waste taxpayer dollars for her religious beliefs.
Oh, yeah, it's so far down the rabbit hole at this point.
Right.
I mean, I guess this is one of those situations, though, because, of course, Liberty Counsel.
Right.
They have a vested interest in pushing this as far as they can go with it.
Right. And they're wanting to run this to the Supreme Court so they can get a ruling from a conservative court, hoping that it'll, sidestep the laws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Shannon says that, and these are things that people aren't watching. These little things on local levels. You've got to watch this shit because it leads up to bigger debates. And this is what the conservatives are wanting to do. Now, how are they getting their money is when I go to look into this, and, it was recently brought out, and I shared it on my Facebook, a little pissed that, a company has bought the Power Sheets company. One company bought another company, and it's Daily Grace, who is a company that not only produces faith-based planners, but they are totally Southern Baptist ran.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's where a lot of this originates.
Right.
Like, I don't think anyone should be exactly surprised to find out that's where the money goes back to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you follow the paper trail, and follow the money, and all surprise, it's a Southern Baptist based company.
Right.
Like, doesn't surprise me in the least.
Mm-hmm.
But it is unfortunate.
Right.
Like, as in, this company's being, used and exploited.
Right.
To do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. What do you, like, I guess you're the better one to ask. What do you think of their take on planners and planning and all this?
I'm very upset because this is a product I was looking to buy.
Oh, wow.
And now I will not be buying it.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I can again totally understand that, and it is kind of one of those things that gets kind of buried.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that it's not obviously apparent. I'm sure they're not running a free Kim Davis special.
Well, they're probably not running a free Kim Davis special, but they quickly changed their mission statement and their value statement quickly afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. They might be fun to buy from and just be like, make your order as gay as possible and see if they fulfill it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. We could use money.
Well,
I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm being more facetious than anything.
Well,
like,
and people, Cultivate What Matters is the parent company that produced the Power Sheets. And they were very much a long-standing entrepreneurial planning system. Mm-hmm. They weren't really designed for house moms. They were designed to be here, to be dealing with budgeting and other things of things. Unfortunately, the original designer got bought out. Of course, this is a problem we get with the parent company, is now dailygrace.co.
Yeah.
And, they changed their mission statements like 3 times. Oh, I'm going to try to grab a video to share out talking about this and some of the behavior that's gone on. There we go. Sorry, I had to mute the YouTube to get it. I am publishing this out for anybody who wants to go and read this.
Beautiful.
Right.
Yeah. There you guys go. But no, it's
right.
It really gets annoying when, and I have to wonder where because of course the company sold out, the original owner sold out,
right?
Which is fine. Make your money. Make your money. I just have to wonder, like, where someone ends up with that when they find out, like, they sold their business and now the money's basically being skimmed off to do this.
Right.
And it's like, because this is so far removed.
Right. And it's not that if it was a Christian company, fine. What gets me is a portion of all proceeds go to support local church missionaries as well as the following missions.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem. That's my issue, is when my money doesn't go to build the company or design new planners, it goes directly to supporting a local church.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then there's, like and I don't knock a company's ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. Like,
Right.
if I kind of appreciate companies that have community involvement.
Right.
In general. And invariably, I think anyone's going to have a problem with some company's donation to what's a who's it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it may be, someone's going to have a problem with it.
Right.
It just really sucks when there's companies out there and like this one where it looks like, I'm sure that entrepreneur built this company, was really excited to sell it, thought they had, built something of value in such that it was its own freestanding thing. And okay, maybe it could do some cute little community service-y things as it continues. But it's gotta suck to sit back and be like, but this is like, you're basically just skimming, like you're using it.
Yeah.
You're just exploiting it.
Shannon, Joe, right there by your hand, i.e. on top of the computer, is the paper that we are printing the Master Psychic Planner on.
Oh, yes. So that is, and the packaging is destroyed. That is Staples Premium Color Laser and Copier paper. It is 98 bright, 32 pound.
Right.
Which is,
Yeah.
120, 120 grams per meter squared. It's a lovely little paper.
It is really good. Printing, I do not have a lot of bleed through, as you guys see on the Psychic of the Plans. And I've used every pen I own on it. So Shannon, be sure to check that out. It is like $52. But if you're going to drop $80 to $120 on a planner,
it's not that bad.
Okay.
I don't think it is. Like, it's spendy paper, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Like, we don't print the grocery list on it.
Well, accidentally every once in a while. Sorry, stuff gets left in the... I was just trying to look real fast to see if there it is. 2640. 2640. Yeah, I'll send her the link.
Yeah, we'll send the link out. We will be talking about more about the Master Psychic Planner because I am designing, as we speak, different parts of it. That'll be designed for the busy housewife, to the entrepreneur, to those that work 9 to 5, that also incorporates your intuitiveness. But my point being is, research your companies. Look for statement of faith on their websites. That way you know where your money is going to. If it's going to fund, I don't know, if you're LGBT, you really shouldn't be funding anti-LGBT companies. If you're, I don't know, BIPOC, maybe it wouldn't be good to be sending money to the KKK inadvertently. It's like I've never ate at Chick Fuck, Bigot Burger Express. And I grump at people that do.
Well, I do have to say I really had a moment, and we even discussed it. So, and I don't even remember what their booth was, but anyway, one of the Pride events in Beckley, Beckley Pride, one of the vendors, they sent someone out who came walking back with Chick-fil-A, and I'm just sitting here going,
really?
That is a brave choice.
Well, that is a brave choice that should have had their ass ripped alive, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, I was just sitting there watching that occur, and I was like, ooh, that's a choice one can make.
Right.
I don't, it's... I think we'd all kind of gotten the idea that this vendor was not family.
Right.
Quite early on. Or at least I'd kind of picked up on this, that they were just there to make money.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, fine, whatever, you know, like,
Right.
I don't expect every vendor in an event is going to be like totally down with the cause or the whatever. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, couldn't you have just gone for Burger King, man?
Right.
Like, couldn't you have gone for anything else? Like, I think I would have made different choices.
Right.
Like, go with something a little less in the news.
Right.
But then again, dealing with, you know, potentially, you know, not family.
Right.
As in the alphabet family. They may not have realized or understood or like really paid any attention to it or thought about it. It's like, it's just lunch.
No, it's not just lunch.
It's
no,
like,
it's not
you know,
just the planner. No, it's not just, you know, grabbing paint. No, it's
especially,
not.
And especially in a vendor situation like that event.
Yeah.
Like it feels really direct. Like, everyone who spent money with them today, guess what your money did, guys?
Right.
It bought us lunch.
Yes.
So, like, we literally took money from your hands, sent someone over to Chick-fil-A to buy lunch, and come back, and we ate it at your event.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would have hoped I would have had better taste than that one.
Well, again,
like,
you know, and these are things that have gotten so old that people aren't, you know, getting the 401 of, no, we don't eat at Chick-fil-A. No, we do not shop at Hobby Lobby unless we can get massive discounts and take their money, so that you're only getting it for cost. We don't go and jump on the first cruise out there.
Well, but then again, I kind of wonder if we were in a far more one-horse kind of town, and like Chick-fil-A were our only dining option for like 20 miles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get into some really out there scenario.
Right.
You know, would we occasionally be like, I don't love the Jesus chicken. I really don't.
No, we would be.
But we only have so many choices in this one-horse town.
Yeah. We would be opening up Raven's Nest.
Shannon, here's my unfortunate reality.
Right.
So back before all of this really blew up in terms of Jesus chicken.
Right.
I was on a college campus that was 2 on-campus dining options, not just one. They weren't satisfied to have 1 kiosk on campus. They had 2.
Right.
And that was a big part of, like, they had the most reasonably priced food on campus.
Right.
Because we were unfortunately spending dining dollars. Which, like, if you take, for example, like Quiznos, which, by the way, I need Quiznos fixed so bad. But if you take into consideration Quiznos, so we're already paying as college students a premium for dining dollars as part of our meal plan.
Right.
Okay, those dining dollars are then, like, you can only spend them on campus. And then we're dealing with, like, Quiznos, which I didn't realize at first. I just thought Quiznos subs were really effing expensive.
Right.
Until I went to Canada.
Right.
And imagine my shock and horror when I realized that I'm looking at the same prices in Canadian dollars.
Right.
Like, basically all they did for the college campus was they threw up a Canadian pricing board and charged us in US dollars.
Right.
the same prices they charged in Canada. We got charged a massive premium on top of the premium that we were already being charged.
Right.
I was like, this is crap.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a Quiznos sub.
Well,
I don't know that any Quiznos sub I had in 2004 was worth $12.
Right.
Like $1 an inch, really. But when you got tired of the waffle fries and the Polynesian sauce,
right,
this is your only other real choice. I mean, we had a few, like we had Burger King, but it was bad. It was bad kiosk Burger King. And then Aramark.
Right. Again, that's why you cooked a lot in your dorm. All right, so we're going to go to Polly in the News, and then after that, we will be going into Are You an Asshole?
All righty. Let me go grab that one. There we go. So Polly in the News.
Yes.
All right, we starting there, or are we doing the Am I the Asshole?
We're doing Polly in the News.
Okay. All right, so... oh, actually, don't we need to run ads?
We do. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TRACYVANN.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
Hi, Techie Joe here. I work with Aeson and some of the best psychics in West Virginia to create amazing live streams and podcasts for the Psychic Coffee Shop Network. Together, we brew up great content discussing news, events, hot topics, and more, all from a psychic perspective. On the Psychic Coffee Shop, we interview amazing authors in the metaphysical realm. Coffee and Tea combines Aeson with Tracy, Dottie, Natalie, or Lady Gwendolyn for the good and the bad of being a psychic. Shameless Self-Promotion with Dottie the Psychic talks to leading and emerging YouTubers and business owners in our community. Mountain Bears brings you the latest in LGBT news and politics. The Psychic That Plans answers the question of, well, how a psychic plans. Plus, we're live on air. We take your comments and your questions, including psychic advice questions. Check out our amazing programming, book an appointment with top psychics, and find out all the wonderful things we have to offer at PCSBnetwork.com today.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, If you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonnight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that call now button there on my site. Great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy.
All right.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back. So, poly rights continue to be expanded. New York judge says that polyfamilies are families. New poly activist organization, a kids poly parents questioning goes viral, and more. Polyfamily legal rights continue to develop on vast scattered fronts, often in what real world situates lands in court. The latest New York trial court judge concluded that poly relationships are entitled to some sort of legal protection given to the two person relationships. The situation: New York City, long affected by unaffordable housing, has rent stabilization laws that cover many buildings. Rent stabilization protects not just the leaseholders from a large rent hike, but also their families if the landlord dies. In the case, the leaseholder who died was a member of a married gay couple living apart. The man who had long been living in the unit with him claimed to have been part of the family and that he would have been covered by dead man's rent stabilization. But the legal spouse holstered to the claimant's sworn on affidavit that he and the decedent were life partners, and for their 25 years we held ourselves out as a couple, an exclusive couple, in other words, not polyfamily. The case got some messiness. And that happens a lot. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of it is kind of a moment in which, without that full recognition, because poly is still, despite its like long-term historical existence, in multiple forms across multiple continents, across multiple, however you want to put it, despite its existence, there's still this like at best like hierarchical polyamory legal concept. It is the best that if you want to be or have any recognized relationship whatsoever, it's a coupling. And you can't do more than two of those because that's bigamy. So you end up with, this, I don't even know what to call it because I keep wanting to say like nuclear couple, but it's like, nah, it's not really it. It's this hierarchical couple. And then everything else is just like the red-haired bastard stepchild phenomenon. Is like, like this might as well be law written by Joan Crawford in the style of her will. For reasons that they are well aware of, they get nothing. And it's, it doesn't really work that well.
So normally, people that are in lease holdings can inherit the lease. His family can inherit the lease at the rate that it currently is at. In the tight rental house market at the time, landlords are eager for vacancies so they could, lead larger rent increases or even decontrolling or even to decontrol the apartment. So this was a very large situation. In general, but I find some things interesting the judge did. On the decision, they went into saying before gay marriage was legalized in the state, Brovis versus Associate Co. 1989 was decided. The New York Supreme Court of Appeals became the first American court to recognize non-traditional two people, same-sex, committed family-like relationships entitled the same legal recognition that non-traditional families are entitled to receive non-eviction protection. Non-eviction protection. Brycer widely regaged as the catalyst of the legal challenges and changes that ensured. However, Bryceland and then the Protestant of Oberfield limited their holdings to two-people relationships. The current case into the district is complex issues significant multiple people relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Due to the non-traditional relationships have to compare or include any two primary people. What is the normal and non-traditional? In 1984, there was no barometric on what normal and non-traditional now. Entirely, the definition of family has morphed to considered since 1989. Specifically, many articles have been written about multi-people relationships in recent years, revealing a preference that for some has been long been known. This begs the question, should a person who would not meet the requirements for succession to rent stabilization apartments after Briarwoods has decided in 1989, now 33 years later, be evicted when they may qualify as what was concluded in Briarwood under the more interment of the family? The existence of a triad should not automatically dismiss O'Neill's claim to non-eviction protection. If O'Neill could potentially qualify on his own right, if it should have been a departmental factor that another person who does not live in the subject could be qualified, if only they lived in the apartment. Yeah, that was the bigger question.
Yeah, and it's kind of a could be a very game-changing question because it is kind of the first step in recognition
Right.
that yes, this is a relationship.
Yes.
Period. End of discussion. Like, this is a relationship. Like, and again, because this becomes a big problem because, like, one, hierarchical monogamy or non-monogamy existing to begin with,
Right.
kind of clouds the issue anyway. Like this whole unicorn hunting, but there's a primary and a secondary relationship, phenomenon.
Right.
Really tends to muddy the waters of, like, it really looks more like there's a couple and then there's this, affair partner.
Right.
And, like, that's not, like, if your non-monogamy is looking like, a primary couple and an affair partner.
Right.
General consensus is you've done something horribly wrong.
Right.
Just as a overall theory.
Right.
But that's typically not where people are at. That's not what's going on. That's not how that's working. That's not what they're doing. It really is a relationship, and, like, there's layers to this.
Right.
It can be very complex, and then it begins to ask the question, okay, so you have and correct me if I'm wrong, because what I understood is, effectively 3 people living in the apartment.
No. 2 people living in the apartment. 1 person living outside the apartment.
Okay.
Husband 1 lives outside the apartment. Husband 2 lives inside the apartment.
Okay. But then you still have, but there's at least 2 concurrent relationships.
Right.
Okay, then what happens if, like, there were an order to it? As in, it's not just husband, so husband 1 lives outside the apartment and is fighting to be recognized, correct?
No.
No, husband two
is fighting to take the right that husband one has decided not to take.
Okay, got it now. So, and then I wonder though, if husband one had rejected it and husband two, say, deceased,
Right.
but like let's say the husband two and the current decedent, if they had died at the same moment, like they had been in a horrible car accident,
right?
I wonder if there would also be a line that starts there, as in if there's a husband three that's husband of husband two, could they then
right? And that's
try
what
to
the
make
judge is not sure of yet. The problem is husband one does not want the apartment, shows no actual rights to the apartment, and has sworn that he was the life partner and registered domestic partner of the decedent. Husband two is not on paper anywhere. And now he has to prove that there was a relationship to have legal standing.
You know, though, I would feel like that would be kind of easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think it would be very hard to live in New York with someone for, any significant amount of time.
Right.
And not like have a utility in your name or a receipt for paying utilities, like an identification card attached, mail delivery, like.
Right.
You'd think.
Right. In conclusion, and I'm not going to try to pronounce this judge's name, said, and I should note that in Same-Sex Marriage and Slippery Slopes 2005, argued Slippery Slopes to recognizing same-sex marriages to recognize polyamorous relationships was unlikely, and I still tentatively think so. But this particular decision, as it is, after all, this decision is one judge at a relatively low court who is expressly criticizing part of the decision in New York's High Court, and the Supreme Court still, I thought the opinion was worth noting. Meaning the judge is noting that, yes, there have been other articles written by this, and addressing this, and that it was seemed unlikely, but they're finding that it may be much more so.
Okay,
meaning that this is something they're going to have to look at.
Yeah. Well, I think that's inevitable as this grows.
Right.
Like, this is no longer just a few one-offs here and there and, like, this kind of bohemian random thing. Because, I mean, you got to account for some degree of, like, there's a certain bohemian element that originally allowed this dynamic to occur. Right. But now it's no longer the eccentrics. Right. Like, you have lawyers and accountants and,
right,
school teachers.
Right.
All in the same household.
Right.
It's no longer this
and
weird
bohemian bank accounts. Like, that is what they're being asked for in discovery right now, is the shared bank accounts, shared receipts.
But yeah, no. But then again, it also raises a different legal question. How hard is this going to be to prove?
Right.
And will this come up in situations, because that's always been like the rent control problem.
Right.
Is in some cases it's I'm her long lost niece. Okay, well, you get rent control because state of New York says you get it, or the city of New York says you get it.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how many people, like, if that's also becoming part of the counter argument, is that, like, how high do you need to set the bar to where you can comfortably prove it without making it impossible?
Right. And see, here becomes the bigger bar, and this is what is currently being used. Kind of like, if you guys remember, we talked about gay history and gay men adopting their partner. Because poly couples are having to form LLCs, limited library corporations. They make a deposit each paycheck or whatever into it, and then pay the house bills out of that LLC. And then it is clear that the LLC remains within the couplings, or in the poly structure. And that's what they're having to do.
Well,
This can get complicated.
but I also wonder, though, is it possible, like, are landlords actually held to the same standard when they rent to an LLC
Right.
versus a single individual or a couple?
Mm-hmm. And no, they're not.
Like, I mean, would you, if you form the LLC and you rent this apartment, or you already have rented this apartment, you're under rent control, you
Right.
convert to an LLC
Mm-hmm.
because of your relationship situation,
Right.
and then,
Right.
you know, like, I assume at some point the lease converts,
Right.
or at least you're going to try to prove that.
Right.
That it's fundamentally the same thing.
Right.
Do they have to recognize that?
Right.
Should they have to recognize that? Like a business, like,
Yeah.
do you really want like Sears, Roebuck and Company from XYZ year being able to rent space in New York and fall under this rent control argument? Because, I mean, effectively same thing.
Right. Well, see, and this is the thing that the judge is setting out as the factors: the longevity of the relationship, sharing of or relying upon each other for payment of household and family expenses and/or other common necessaries of life, interment of finances, of endowing by or among other things joint ownership of bank accounts, personal and private property, credit cards, loan obligations, sharing household budgets for purposes of receiving government benefits, engaging in family type of activities by jointly attending family functions, holiday celebrations, social and recreational activities, formalizing legal obligations, intents, and responsibilities for each other by such means as excluding wills, naming each other executor or and/or beneficiary, conferred upon other power of attorneys and/or authorities to make healthcare decisions for each other, entangling personal relationship contact and making domestic partnership declarations, or serving as representative payees for purpose of public benefits, holding themselves out as family members to other family members, friend members of the community and religious institutions, or in society in general through their words and actions, regularly performing family functions such as caring for each other or each other's extended family members and/or relying on others for daily family services, engaging in other patterns of behavior, agreements, or other actions which evidently intended to creating a long-term emotional committed relationship. Those are the standards that this person is going to have to go back and document for 25 years.
Well, I don't know that they would have to document it for the full 25 years. I would think somewhere towards the end, it's going to be pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like 5 years worth of this. Like,
Yeah.
does anyone really care if it goes all the way back to, like, what, 1997?
Yeah.
Like, does anyone really care to go all the way back to 97 and start proving it forward? I mean, if you can back up like 3, 4, 5 years,
Right.
and just be like, look, here's what's going on.
Right.
I would think at some point it's like you've exhausted the proof. Like
Mhm.
you've proven your point. Like, look, it's pretty effing clear.
Right.
This is what was going on. This is, you have an overwhelming body of people and evidence that say,
Yeah.
They were together.
Right. Well, and people wonder why, like, we have pictures and different things of events and planners and paperwork. It's because you never know when you're going to have to be drug into court for it to prove.
And that's a sad reality. That's a sad reality.
It's a sad reality that, we make sure to take, hinge pictures. We make sure to document hinge activity. We make sure to have shared bank accounts. We apparently need to make a move to make a shared credit card.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things going on that go into that. And I do get that. I get that. But it's also one of those things. How much easier would it be?
Right.
To just register? Like, can we just go back to the registration concept for 1 minute? Like, way back to the 90s. Register your domestic partnership, be done with it, like let it confer some benefits and things, and just avoid the idea that like one of your partners dies and suddenly you have to sit here and dredge through the contents of your life to try to prove
in court,
in a court of law, that
and
you were in a
relationship. Whitley Spears case, and we look at other cases, they can pull up the media data and see when that picture was taken. They have to pull it up and say, see, this was 20 years ago. See, this is our vacation in Tahiti. See, this... The amount of aggravation this dude is having to go through to settle an estate is something that partners should not have to do. This is why I'm going to go on to my speech. You guys hear me say this all the time. If you are with someone for more than a year and a half, get a durable medical power of attorney cross-linking the sets. Make sure your will is updated. Rainbow Laws are a lovely place to write your wills. Make sure that your medical power of attorneys are updated. Make sure that everything else is documented to the legal T, because you could have that long-lost niece walk in and go, but I want Johnny's apartment, and I'm the long-lost niece, and this dude will have to move out. Because it's evident that this isn't an equal triad. This is a primary and a secondary.
Yeah.
In a hinge relationship.
But it also makes me wonder how many other women... Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could easily make the same argument. Like, there are long-term, and I mean long-term affair partners.
Right.
That's the whole nature of their relationship. It is what it is. They kept a mistress for 20 years.
Right.
They paid for the apartment. They,
right,
did all the things. I think it's going to be interesting to see both how this one ultimately turns out and then what becomes of it legally.
Right. All right. So are you an asshole? Let's debate this issue.
All right. Am I the asshole for not telling my boyfriend the reason why I have a second job? I, female 29, work 2 jobs and have been for the last 3 or so years. I started dating my boyfriend, male 31, about a year and a half ago. The entire time we have been dating, he has been aware that I work 2 jobs. We are talking about moving in with each other, so we agreed to show each other our finances. At first, he balked at how much I spend on shopping and going out, but then he noticed how much my first job pays. You see, I have a really decent paying full-time job, but I live in a big city, so cost of living is no joke. I can afford to live off my full-time job alone, but that leaves very little disposable income. So I would either have to choose between saving money or buying and doing fun things. My full-time job is the standard 9 to 5, well, technically 8 to 5:30, but Monday through Friday job. My part-time job is freelance, and I only work an extra 2 to 3 hours a night from home. It allows me to have a couple $100 a week extra that I can do whatever I want with. Usually I go out during the weekends, or if I want that dress or that one pair of shoes, I can indulge myself because I'm still saving some money from my full-time job. I even was able to use the money from the freelancing job to pay for a trip for our 1-year anniversary. Granted, I did continue to do some of the freelance work during the trip, but again, it was only about 2 hours a day, and I often did it while he was sleeping. So back to the problem. When he saw that I could afford to live off my full-time job and that I was using my freelance job as play money, he got upset. He said he was under the impression that I couldn't afford my bills and rent without it, and he only suggested to move in with me to help supplement the cost of living. When I pointed out that it's still a good idea because we'd both still save money, he said he's afraid that I'll blow the money that we'd save since all I do is spend 100% of the money I make in my freelancing job. He thinks I should be saving the majority of it instead of using it as petty cash. I told him that if he moves in, we can discuss what would be a good amount to save for my main job, But I was keeping my freelance job because it's allowed me to have and do the things that we both benefit from. It never interfered with our time together, and it would allow us to do fun activities during the weekend. He thinks I misled him because I don't need the second job, and I am bad with money because I use it as my spending money, and he is now second-guessing our relationship. I had no reason to tell him where the extra money I made went to, and it never seemed to bother him before when I was taking him out to dinner and on a nice trip. I also think I'm great with money. I'm prioritizing my bills and sacrificing just a little bit of my free time so I can enjoy the rest of my free time. So, am I the asshole?
Nope.
No.
No.
Like, I read that one and I kind of went back and forth at a couple of points because I was like, well, like, I think it must really suck to have that interpretation of why someone has two jobs.
All right.
That, like, they cannot afford to survive on one income. Just to find out that, no, actually, they're doing great, and that whole second job is just kind of like play money.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was... Like, I can understand him being surprised. I think it blows up somewhere in there when he's just like, you're bad with money and you're irresponsible, kind of.
Well, and not only that, I think that it's kind of like, in general, you still get confused on my money situation and how money works in my brain. Judging these people for what they do is ridiculous.
I mean, there's limits. I mean, like, if she were talking about, if they were talking about, like, she spends everything from her first job and then she spends all the money from her second job.
Right.
Okay, that's a little irresponsible.
Right.
No, it sounds like
wonderful that she has a first job that's a 9-to-5 job, and she says, gee, I'm not interested in any damn TV. I'm not interested in sitting on my ass all day.
Yeah.
Let's go do something else with my money.
Well, and my time.
Yeah, and my time.
Like, let me go do this other thing. It doesn't really take a lot of effort. It's not a big deal.
Right.
I can do it. It gives me a couple $100 a week, so about $800 a month. It's not bad for a second job and extra money.
No.
I mean... I just don't, like, I'm still struggling, like, I can understand the initial shock. But then, like, I don't know what's wrong with, like, it mentally. Like...
Well, he thought he needed to put his girlfriend on an allowance, and then he found out, no, the girlfriend has egg money and some.
Yeah, like, I don't need your money, is where she's at. Like, I don't need your money. I'm not relying on you. I got my own money. I'm good with my money.
Yeah.
But, like, I guess the problem I'm having is if she were just working one job, for instance, and working a lot of overtime, and he was under the impression that she had to work that overtime just to afford bills, like she just always took a couple of hours a week or a couple hours a day of overtime. Because it was available.
Right.
And his interpretation was she needed that couple hours overtime just to pay the power bill. And then he found out, no, she just chooses to work overtime.
Right.
And, like, she uses that overtime money and she goes off and does whatever she wants to with it because I earned it.
Exactly.
I deserve it. Like, I'm budgeted for my full-time pay. But then I use all my overtime and just go out and do whatever.
Right.
Would he still be mad?
I think he would still be mad because he is under the opinion that you only need to work as much as you need to work. Not under the opinion of, let me work extra and live the life I want. And I think this is a concept that has been separated by the generations. For me...
I think there's people, and I think there's this really assumption that everyone who works multiple jobs is doing so because they're poor.
Right.
like for some people, I think is they work multiple jobs because they can, and the money's there, and they like money, and they like spending money, and they like having nice things or saving money or whatever they do with the money.
Right.
Um,
Well, it's like a debate I got into with a nurse friend of mine. She is on a 3-on, 4-off schedule, 12-hour shifts at one hospital.
mm-hmm.
She has no dependents. She has no extra time, and she always complains to me that she's bored. I'm like, go get another job. And she's like, but, and I'm like,
but what? You're
but
bored.
what? You're bored.
What else are you gonna
do?
Yeah.
And she's able to have, now that she's gotten this concept of, oh, I can work 3/12s, take off one night, work another 3/12s, and still have my life. She's paid her house off early. She's paid her car off early. Now she's gone and traveling, and she's making 3 times the amount of money. Doing the same thing. And she paid off her BSN 20 years earlier. But she had never experienced or learned this concept as work as much as you can while maintaining your life.
Well, and sock that money away now while you can.
Yeah.
That's always a good plan.
Yeah.
Typically most people don't regret that one. Like, maybe a massive market turn, maybe, some horrible event occurs, you might regret it a little. Like, I could have been doing other things.
Right.
But literally, if you're just going to go home and sit there and wait to go to work,
right.
Find you else something else. Like, volunteer if you feel bad about the money because you're taking a job from someone who needs it. And I wonder if maybe that's where he's at, is like, she's like this really broken, screwed up, like my dad used to say that crap.
Right.
Is that a woman working was just taking a job from a deserving man who now couldn't support his family because she had to have spending money.
Yeah.
And I always was like, yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what it is, Dad.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many, assumptions wrong with that.
Well, there's so many problems with that thinking in theory, And in today's economy, I'm sorry, it takes 4 incomes to pay for a basic house.
Yeah. Monogamy in this economy?
I don't think so. Especially when you have jobs pulling bullshit. And I love being freelance. I love that you are freelance. We can control and be from wherever we want to be. We are just now proving, thank you for, optimistic bullshit. You are just proved that we can be at the beaches in Tahiti and deliver you a live stream that I hope is decent.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you, Optimum.
Yeah.
Because you had said, because we had talked about, there was an opportunity on Thursday, and you're like, I can't do a live stream. I have to be home.
Right.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Shannon says, I've been looking into things, and Jesus, for me to have a payment around $600 a month is ridiculous. They want to be like, oh, well, if you can afford $600 a month rent, we're not going to give you a mortgage.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and then you also run into, I ran into this problem in North Carolina with an apartment complex, and I still do not understand.
Right.
It was this apartment complex. It was cheaper than the one I ended up in, but they rejected me.
Right.
And never really did clarify why. They just said no.
Right.
But then I ended up at an apartment complex that was like $50 more a month, and they were like, sure.
Right.
No problem.
Right.
It's like, okay, why didn't the cheaper place take me? I was trying to, at the time, I was well within, for both, both were well within that, I think 30-40%.
Right.
And I was like, so why did this one say yes and the other one said no, and the other one was cheaper?
Right.
I would have thought the cheaper one would have said yes, because obviously I'm a good risk.
Right.
as a tenant.
Right.
So weird. But
there's a lot. Now, Shannon, I will recommend something that people probably will not go, what? And yes, it takes a little bit. Is looking for land contract homes. They'll take you over a lot.
So you're talking about the rent to own or
Rent to own?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the big caveat everyone has with that is, but you got to be so careful.
You get the legal paperwork.
Yeah, you get the legal paperwork. You make sure you can afford it because a lot of those exit out on a missed payment.
Right.
You get those receipts for every payment.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. One of them is Rapid River Realty.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I had a point somewhere that I was going to make, and I'm trying to remember what it was real quick. Anyway, I guess it's gone.
Yeah.
So much for that point. But yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's fun.
Check them out. Get to know some of the homes need a little updating, whatever. Do your due diligence.
Yep.
Rent it, then don't rent it.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So we've had a lovely evening tonight testing our stuff. Thank you guys for hanging in there. Baristas, please leave me a comment in the break room on how bad it was when we switched over to from Optima to AT&T 5G. And let us know that this is still the same quality we are used to getting. I will be back with Psychic the Plans on Sunday with Joe. We will be actually going into house management because you guys are, you've seen how I plan my week. My week is pretty well planned out. So we're going to show you how Aeson does house management.
Absolutely. And then, we got... Oh, so mine's cool. Yours is still a little glitchy. I don't know that you ever got yours turned off.
Right.
But it is a nice side-by-side of Aeson is over here on Optimum. I'm over here running off of my cell phone.
Yep.
I'm tethered.
Okay.
So, yeah. But anyway.
Yes. All right.
Pull it into the station.
But again, thank you guys. We want to thank our baristas. They give us their support. And then we had a very lovely barista meeting that will be being posted, helping us make some decisions and launching some new things. Baristas, we are still working at October 4th for Under the Table and Dreaming to be out. We will be pushing all that out soon. Be looking for updates and changes. Patreon has changed some things, so I will be changing some things to adapt to their changes. And then hopefully this week we will film Cooking with Aeson, which means baristas should get it next week, and of course YouTube following later. We're going to decide what we're going to be cooking. So we haven't got there yet. But with that, Vanna, you take it away and talk about our lovely sponsors.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Gish, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Donna White, and the Laughing Tree Grove. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. All right, guys. You have a wonderful evening. Bye, y'all.
Bye.